office. He has a special signal that shines in the sky. It's in the shape of a giant cock.
Hey, I got a question, Strip, before you leave.
Oh, my God.
I know, just really quick before you go upstairs. Will you remember the bet, or will that impact your ability to remember the bet?
Wow.
I know, go upstairs. It's all right.
All right, I can tell you, that was this has been a pretty rough break, and I'm probably going to have to wind up stepping out of this room here within the next few minutes because, hey, look.
I don't have a co-host.
You'll have a co-host. I promise you will have a co-host. But I went to use the restroom, and I tell you what, my bladder right now is floating. But both the restrooms here were occupied.
Occupado!
So, unless I reach down and grab a can and, have some inappropriate stuff going on under this desk here.
I don't need to see that.
I'll be stepping out of this room shortly,
Don't need to see that. Yeah, it doesn't need to happen.
No, I'm a big boy. I can hold it.
Outlaw Radio Network's last call. He is Trojo, the color commentator.
Yes! And he is
I love that for you.
K-Dog, the occasional loose cannon.
I know it's totally inappropriate, but I love that nickname for you. You're the color commentator. That is outstanding. We need to run with that, man. That is.
You are an idiot.
No, probably.
It just might work.
I think we should run with that. I think that's outstanding.
It's so dumb that it just might work.
Thanks for checking out the show. We appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of the
all
chaos.
5 of the people that are listening tonight.
Well, no, I think we're getting more now because it's the last. It's the last hour of the show.
Yes.
This is the opportunity when this is the most popular part of the show anyway. So there's a lot of people right now that are going, oh my God, it's time for the last call. Let's turn on the radio. And so this is when listenership always gets higher anyway, just in this last part. Plus the Seahawk game is over.
Seahawk game is over.
So this is when
people are already drunk, passing out, full from the barbecues.
Yeah, exactly. So
cuddled up and snuggled up from the rain and the thunderstorms. So. Yeah,
that's what I expect.
This is going to be a great 4th hour, I believe.
I believe as well.
Wait, last call.
Last call. I believe that as well, though. So thanks to everybody for being a part of the show tonight. We do appreciate it. We hope that you're having a good night. Congratulations to the Seahawks for doing what I said they were going to do. I predicted 31-3 as the score. It was 29-3. What do you want? God bless it, man. But thanks for supporting the show. We appreciate it.
Do it again. Slap the chest again. There you go, baby. There you go.
Next week on the show.
And follow it up with a.
Next week on the show, if you are a fan of American Idol, you do not want to miss next week's show. Let me tell you why. Please. Josh Holiday. Know the name?
I do know the name.
I don't know the name. I don't know the name. I didn't watch Idol last year. I wasn't 100% sold on the judges. But Josh Holiday is a guy that made it through the rounds, made it to the final 24. He was the 21st person on the show, so he didn't make it to the last 12. Mm-hmm. He did make it to the TV rounds. He did make it to Hollywood, and he is going to be on the show next week, 2 days before he releases his album.
Nice.
Josh Holiday is going to join us, and I'm going to ask him everything I want to know. Now, he may contractually not be able to talk about specific things about Idol. I don't know how it works, but we're going to ask him.
He's out of his contract.
He doesn't have any contract in regards to Idol.
Hey, you want to speak into the mic so we can actually hear you?
She knows how to turn it on. Do you know how to turn the mic on?
She knows how to turn it on.
She knows how to turn me on.
He's no longer in his American Idol contract. He tweeted about it, I think, 2 days ago.
So he can say whatever he wants to?
I'm assuming so because he's not in contract with them.
All right. We're going to ask him everything then.
Going to ask the hard questions.
I just want to ask him everything. I want to get an idea about the whole thing because there's so many things about Idol. I want to get an idea about the process.
I told him that in the email that I sent him. I told him that we were going to ask him questions about American Idol, and he said he's fine. He's down with that.
We're going to ask him everything. We're going to talk to him about everything. Talk to him about the upcoming album. Talk to him about the music that's going to be on the album. Did he write it himself? All of that. We're going to get to the bottom of everything. We're going to talk about the Idol experience for him. Would he recommend other people go do it? Obviously, it kickstarted a good career for him because he got an album coming out in 9 days. We're going to have him on this show 2 days before the album drops.
You know what? I think we should have one of those Idol reunions. I should remember the young lady that we had on here once before that was a part of the Idol show. She's here right here from Bremerton.
Yeah, local girl. Yeah.
I don't think she would be upset if I use her name. It's Megan Boyles, who is also on Idol, and she made it through a couple of rounds. And
sure.
Then they tried to change her up and change her appearance and everything, and she got on and she talked about how they did that. And then when she got in the room with the judges and Simon Cowell and everything, Simon just ripped her for pulling the wig and everything off and saying, that's not who I am. But she said it was the producers on the show ideal to do that. And then she wound up getting booted from the show for it.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember correctly, 2 years ago, there was a girl that was, I think she was a hairdresser. I don't remember her name is. But she was a little bit of a heavier girl. And she had kind of a weird kind of dye job with her hair. But she could sing. She had a voice that could do heart. And as you watched week to week, they slowly changed her appearance and what she wore. She was a karaoke host, too. I think she did some karaoke hosting, which is why I kind of liked her. And by about 5 or 6 weeks into the last 12, they totally messed with what she would look like and what she was wearing and all of that. And you can see that. I want to ask him about that. Is that something that he saw? Did he see them changing contestants? Were they changing what you wore, what you dressed, what you look like? Was that a conscious effort that they were doing? Were they trying to mold you? Is it something that you wanted? Did you want to be changed into a marketable commodity? That makes sense to you. Was it resentful? What did you see, Des?
I was going to say about Chojo's comment about bringing them all back. There's a possible season 5 contestant as well that might be able to do an interview as well.
On the show?
Yes.
Ooh.
Nice.
I have a friend that knows him, and he's also been in a couple movies as well. So.
Really? Did he make the last 12?
I'm not positive. I haven't done research on him yet because I'm still in the first stages of it, but
let me know.
I will find out.
See, this is why I like Desi, because Desi will get dirty and find the guests and find interesting guests to bring on the show.
She just likes to get dirty.
You should see the shirt she's wearing. Jeez, God.
Batgirl.
You act like I'm wearing such a scandalous shirt. I'm wearing a T-shirt.
Yeah,
She ran a
that
T-shirt. She ran a T-shirt representing Batman or Batgirl.
Yeah.
That's because Batman is the bomb.
It's like wrap saran wrap on a cantaloupe. Anyway, we're gonna have Josh Holiday, 24-year-old from Celeste, Texas. He made the top 24 in Idol.
Okay.
He didn't make it out of that, but he's going to be joining us on the show next week. What time? At 8? 8 o'clock. We're going to have him on the show.
I thought she said 9.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock we'll have him on in the 8 o'clock hour. And it's going to be interesting. And really, if you're somebody who's thought about going out for Idol or one of those other shows, then you really want to be a part of this and maybe even call in and ask him a question, because I think it'll behoove you to ask questions so that you know what you're walking into when you walk into these interviews. I've talked to people that are really vocally talented, that walk into these things and are just blindsided because they don't know what they're walking into.
Wow, yeah.
You think you can walk in with a great voice and you're just going to knock them out. You may have a great voice, but so does 5,000 other people in that group that may be just as good as you. You've got to have something else that's going to separate you.
Can you imagine how many times they'd heard the exact same song,
Mississippi in the middle of the dry spell.
over and over in many different ways, but over and over. It's like, show me something different,
Black velvet and that little boy. I will smack you.
My girl. Oh, God.
And I'm going to ask him, too, if they intentionally, because I'm sure they do, if they intentionally pick horrible singers just for
Sometimes
the entertainment
they do.
value. So,
You got to have the reject show.
yeah. Yes, ma'am.
The guy from season 5, there's a reason why I'm trying to really get him on the show, and I think you'll appreciate it. His name is Kevin Kovis. He was on season 5. He's been, like I said, he's been in a couple movies, but he also has been on a few episodes of Good Luck Charlie, which is where your Bridget Mendler is from.
Ah, Bridget Mendler. Now that woman can sing. She can
there you go.
sing. She can sing beyond her years.
She has a
She has a phenomenal kind of a bluesy voice when she sings. Yeah.
And then next week, we'll also have Miley Cyrus.
No, we will not.
We will not have that.
By the way, on my Facebook page on Friday, I challenged Miley Cyrus to a dance-off, and she didn't answer. Miley, stop being afraid of me.
You gotta tweet it to her.
Yeah, well, I'll do more than tweet it to her. I will tweet her with a 2x4 upside the back of her head. I'm not ever in favor of violence against women, but to stop that woman from twerking.
She'll never stop twerking because she thinks she's. Never mind.
God, she's
God.
it's not good.
Sorry,
It is not good.
I didn't mean to do that.
It's not good. It's not just not good, dude.
It's just wrong.
All right, so we got a couple topics for the show. I'm going to tell you right now: do not call in, and do not call in until I tell you to, because we're without a board op at the moment as they're dealing with a tired baby. So bear with it for now, and I'll let you know when to call in. But for now, we have a topic that actually is an interesting topic to have. So I'm going to turn this over to Tro. Tro, do you need to go use the boys' room?
You know, I really do need to get the heck up out of here, but we don't have a board op right now, and I hate to walk off the camera, but I'm sorry,
No, you can walk
America.
off the
I
camera.
gave you
Go
a
ahead.
warning. I
If-
got to
if
go
you
use
need
the
to- if
restroom.
you need to
He's
go
going to
use-
carry the show. I got to go.
Just go ahead and go,
I got to go to the
Sergio.
little boys' room. I'll be back.
You go ahead and go to the little boys' room. Go ahead and go do your thing. I won't bring up a topic because I do want to handle yours first. Because I really think it's a really interesting topic to have from a couple of different angles. So we'll get to that in just a couple of seconds. The other thing I want to touch on really quick is that Strip and I have a bet as to whether or not St. Paul will or will not call in during the last hour of the show. There's a $10 bet riding on this. One of us thinks he will. One of us thinks he won't. I'm not going to say who does and who doesn't, because if Paul's listening, I don't want him to hedge the bet and either help me win or help me lose or help Strip win or help Strip lose. Now, even though Strip isn't here to see it, because of Skype, we'll know if he called or not. But we'll see. We'll see if he calls. But that's the bet. All right, write the number down so when the lines are available, 253-617-1440. Write that number down. We'll take your phone calls here in just a little bit. We thank you all for being a part of the show and for supporting the show. And again, congratulations to Seahawks. Good win tonight against the Niners. They have to play better than that if they play when they play later this year in San Fran. But nice job. Seahawks did good tonight. So, all right. So the last call. Later in the show, we're going to bring up an issue that has been brought up on this show before in regards to relationships and a question that I have in relationships that I don't think that men should ever do, but there's a whole different spin on it that we'll bring up later in the show. So stick around for that. We'll talk about that later on. This is me stalling, waiting for Troja to get back here. I don't know why it takes him so long to use the restroom. Desiree, what are you doing? Is the phone ringing? She's trying to answer the phone. All right. Were you trying to answer the phone?
No, it's not ringing. I was just hearing beeping noises, so I thought it was.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm trying to stall till Trejo gets back here, and I do a horrible job of it. We also want to remind you as well that coming up here in the next couple of weeks, we are going to have Bremerton Mayor Patty Lent on. We have booked a tentative date to have her. We've been trying to work out her and Todd Best, her challenger for the city of Bremerton Mayor's office, which is up for re-election in the November elections. Bremerton Mayor Patty Lent has committed to the date that we proposed. Todd Best has been unable to commit to it. He's not sure about his schedule at this point. So we are still trying to work through that. What we're going to wind up doing is setting a date that we hope will work for both of them, and we're going to promote it and hope they both can appear. We're going to try to work with both of them as best as we can, but it's unfair to leave one of them hanging on a date while the other one is waiting to commit if they can even do it or not. So we're going to wind up setting a date and then we're going to hope that they can both appear. So we'll keep you posted. We should have an announcement of that next week, so stay tuned for that. That'll be big. Trojo's joined us back in studio. Hello, buddy.
I gotta tell you, my teeth were actually starting to float. I mean,
Everything come out okay?
Everything came out great.
Good.
Oh, my
Glad to
God.
hear it. Too much information.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so bring up your topic. I was holding off for that. So
All right, so this is one of those little personal things that's going on in my life, and I thought it would be an interesting subject to talk about. My girlfriend, who has a son that's 3 years old, about to be 4 years old now.
Right.
We all know the story. We all know the backlash, and I started to rip into the guys and everything a couple of weeks ago, and I thought better of it.
Sure.
Because I'm the better man. But something amazing, phenomenal happened, and you know what? Quite frankly, it's one of those things. I'm honored, but at the same time, I'm torn. All right, so I've been a part of her son's life now for better part of 2.5 years.
okay.
We've had a child together, and this is his sister.
And how old is he?
And he's 3 years old and got to be 4. Now in the process of us being together and this kid growing with me around, I have at no point in time have I ever tried to encourage him to call me dad. As a matter of fact, I did just the opposite. I would not allow him to call me his dad. Being the father figure, being a man in the house with him, I play with him, I take care of him, I teach him, I'm always around him. And this past week, I actually taught him, not to call me dad, but call me Papa J. I was fine with that. Again, he's
You said
encourageable.
Papa J, I think Papa Smurf.
I was fine with that, and the reason being because his dad is still in his life. To a certain point, his dad is still in his life. So I did not want to confuse the kid. I don't want him to get confused and think that I am his father. He needs to understand that he does have a dad. He still goes to visitations with his dad. He still spends time with his dad. This past week, and I just want to set the tone. I'm not bringing this up. I'm not trying to cause any controversy. I have enough controversy with the guy, and I know they're probably listening. So I'm just saying I'm not doing this to try to bring up any controversy. This poses a very interesting question because now we have a child that's in the mix, and he has actually physically come out and said he wants to call me dad. I've been encouraging him not to call me dad. I have not been comfortable with him calling me dad, but he came out and asked, was it okay for him to call me dad? Now, I don't know what to do in this situation because it's like, okay, he knows who his dad is. He knows he goes to his dad's house. He spends time with his dad. And for all intents and purposes, I try to give his dad the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, despite the relationship that him and I have, him and I will never, ever, ever sit down and drink a cup of coffee or anything together. For the benefit of the kids, I always give the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, he's probably being very well taken care of by his dad. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt until I see something otherwise. So I'm at a point right here where I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, I don't want to tell the kid that he can't call me dad, but at the same time, he's still at a very impressionable point in his life.
Right.
So, I really don't know what to do. It's like, okay, do I allow him to start calling me dad, or do I continue saying, hey, I'm not your dad. You know who your dad is.
Do you think he picked up on the dad word because of Jazzy, your daughter who's little? So now you're being referred to her as dad, and so that's maybe where he's getting it from as well.
Well, I can't say if that's the case or not because one, Jazz is only 6 months old. she's not calling anybody dad.
No, I don't mean that.
Like that.
She's not calling you dad. But when you and significant other are talking
Right.
to Jazzy about you, it's
She,
Dad,
she,
Daddy,
she,
you know what I mean?
we do refer to, she do when I walk into the room, she say, Daddy's home, that's
Right.
Dad, you know. And again, I don't know if that's where it's stemming from. I don't know. All I know is the thing that I've always taught him, you know, I treat the kid, I let the child be a child, I let him play, I play with him, you know, I'm teaching him, I even read to him at night, put him to bed, you know, sit and watch movies with him, do everything that a dad is supposed to do.
Sure.
But, you know, the one thing I've tried to instill into him is, you know, he knows who his dad is. I want him to know who his dad is,
Sure.
you know. But now it's at that point where, again, he's come to me. I mean, 3 years, about to be 4 years old, and he's asked, can he call me Dad? I don't know what to do in this situation.
Do you think does it? You have something?
I was just gonna say we have comments in the chat.
Oh, do we have comments in the
Yes,
chat? Let
and
me go
I
to the
agree
chat.
with them very much.
Holy cow. All right, let me read the
Because I had that situation too, the same situation with the guy is saying in the chat, and I did that as well.
Oh, wow. All right. Let me read this to you. This is from Archasmic. It says, if he's comfortable with it, there's no reason to keep a kid from calling someone anything that's not offensive. I knew who my dad was, and I still called my stepdad Dad. I can't imagine any reasonable person having an issue with their kid calling a person who is permanent, semi-permanent in their life the title of mom or dad. Now, if you were some random guy that the mom had just met, that would be weird. I agree with that. Here's and this would be my thought too, and we'll welcome more comments in the chat room as well. And Desi, thanks for keeping an eye on that for me. There's two things here. One, I don't think at 3 or 4, the child has a perception or an understanding of what dad means. You know what I mean? I don't think that I don't think there's an expected inference of what the title means in calling you dad. So now, as the child gets older, that will obviously grow into different expectations because
Exactly.
you're a dad, you're a father figure, and so you have to be aware of that as you accept that role. But the child isn't expecting anything from you other than just to be who you are. I wouldn't have an issue with that. The only concern that I would have would be just to take it in stride, because the child is going to be a child who today you're going to be dad, and 2 weeks from now you're going to be Papa J or Jeremy or Tro or asshole or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's going to be variable. I'm in a very similar situation with my daughter. Her younger, you've met Emmy, who's my daughter Maddie's youngest daughter, who's not mine. But she's 6 and grew up with her older sister calling me dad, and her dad up until recently has been absent. I mean, totally absent. And so in getting to know me, I'm the closest thing to a dad that she's ever had. Now, I've always filled that role in her life, though. I've always been around. I've taken her for the day. I've treated her,
Right.
And so I filled that role. And I had to grapple with the same question that you did. And the answer for me was, that's a role that at this point I'm going to fill in her life, and when she decides that I'm not, then I'm not. When she decides that I'm not, and she wants to draw that line herself, then she'll do that.
Yeah,
I think I think it's a great question to ask.
And the reason I'm so torn with it, it's again, those who know me know I have a goddaughter that's 26 years old now. Well, geez, when I came into her life, she was 8, 9 years old. I just recently became, because she still considered me her dad. She still respects me enough. She adopted me. I adopted her. I raised her. I was the only father figure in her life, but her father was not around. So it was easy to assume that role and take that role, and she finally grew into that and became comfortable with calling me dad. So I didn't have that. I didn't have a problem with it. Same thing with with my ex, who I've talked about on the show many a times. My ex fiance, that I came into her life when her son was 2 years old, and I raised him from 2 to the age until he turned till they moved to Florida when he turned 10. and they moved it. They moved when he was 10 years old. So again, I was the only man, the only father figure in his life.
Sure.
So again, it was much easier to take on that role. It just but like I said, her son is at that age where he is so impressionable, that I just think that it would be one of those confusing. It could actually cause a little confusion in his mindset, and let's face it, he's been through a few things already over the course of the past years. Mom going through divorce, the breakup, and everything. You know what? The last thing I want to do is cause any type of confusion in any impressionable mind's life. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop being who I am. Obviously, I'm going to still care for him. I'm going to still take care of him. I mean, I'm going to still treat him as he is my son.
Sure.
Because that's what the responsible adults do. You don't take on one without taking on the whole package.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you take on a woman. You take on the kids.
You got to take on the whole package, and I don't mind that role. It's just of all I've ever been through, of all I've ever done and been through, I never had that particular situation. That's like, whoa, I don't even know what to do, because the only thing I've ever tried to teach him, if he's comfortable with calling me Papa J, he can call me Jeremy. Did not want him to take on the role of calling me Dad because. I mean, even if he wanted to say go to the extent of saying stepdad, that'd be fine. When you assume the role of being actual dad, father, that's actually something that's within itself. That's a whole different role in a child's life.
Yeah, but keep in mind though, like I said earlier, the role is a role in your eyes, not necessarily to the child. You know what I mean? It's an expectation you place upon yourself by taking it, and it's honorable that you look at it that way. But it's not the child is not looking at anything to change magically because now they're calling you dad. They are looking at you in that role as a title for whatever reason that they've come up with that. But it's something you're putting on. Let me give you another comment. This is Hello Kitty says, to each their own. My ex and I have agreed that our kids won't call our significant others mom and dad. I've been called mom by my boyfriend's son, and even though the mother is around him, sometimes I still don't mind being called mom by him. It's like he is like one of my own. Here's the only comment I have to say with this, Hello Kitty, is that it seems like a paradox between what you're saying. On one hand, you're saying that the boyfriend's son can call you mom, but your kids can't, which I think will be confusing as they get older, if that makes sense. Again, not my call. You guys can do what you want to. I also don't know if I think it's fair to tell kids what they can or can't ascribe to in the relationship, because if the kid wants to say that is mom or that is dad, that's my other mom or my other dad, this is something Churro and I talked about before the show tonight. I don't know how you go back to the kid and say, don't call them dad. They're not your dad. I don't know how you do that without placing some kind of an inference or a damage within the relationship.
Right.
And I know that's why you said that's why they're each right. Now, I'm not telling you that you're wrong at all. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I'm not telling you that you're wrong at all, because clearly, if you know my past, I don't have the right to tell anybody what they can or can't do in relationships, because I'm the king of fucking them up. Strip.
I was just say, growing up, I had a stepdad. I never called him dad unless I wanted something. which that pretty much always got me exactly what I wanted if I did that. But no,
did any of you guys ever refer to him as dad? Was that ever? Because you got two brothers and a sister.
Yeah, no.
Without getting into family drama or business or anything, but did any of you guys ever refer to him as dad, or was it always
the only two people that actually grew up knowing him were me and my sister, that actually lived with him.
Okay.
The Paul and Sean never lived with him. But neither me or my sister ever called him dad. I knew who my dad was. I look at him like he's a dad. Right. As you know, my dad's not here anymore, so he's the closest thing I have.
Sure.
And he really is the next best thing to actually having a dad. So, he is like a dad to me, and he always will be. But
it was never a title you gave him. It was never you always called him by. I know what you called him. I'm not going to give his name, but you always called him by that name and not
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I never felt that it was. I always felt it was disrespectful to my father to actually call him this. To call him dad. So
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because there's a couple different directions that this can go. In my daughter's little sister's life, in Emmy's life, who calls me dad, and she's my other kid that's not really my kid. Her dad wasn't around, wasn't active.
Right.
So I never felt in the beginning like we were disrespecting him because he refused to be around. So she didn't have a father.
Right.
She didn't have a daddy around. And so me taking her for the day and filling that role, I wasn't disrespecting anybody because there was nobody else else around. Now he's started to be around now, but even now it's half-assed at best. And if you're listening, you're half-assed at best. But Strip brings up a good point because there is the question about, are you disrespecting your dad by calling somebody else dad? And that's probably a viable feeling for some people, that you're not giving due respect to your real dad when you give that title to somebody else.
Right.
I can also tell you, I knew him, or I have known him since kindergarten, I think.
Yeah.
So I was like 4 or 5 when my mom first started dating him. So she's been with him a very, very long time. I never knew my parents really when they were married. So, but I was always with both my parents. 1 week with one and 1 week with the other. Went back and forth, back and forth. So, for me, that's just how I feel about it. But,
And your family it was different in the sense that you guys were still close even after the divorce. I mean, there wasn't, at least from what I've seen, your mom and your dad,
Yeah,
even after the divorce, were
that took a few years.
did it? Did it?
Quite a few years.
But up until when your father passed away, your mom was still around. She still had an expressed interest in how he was.
Oh, so did my stepdad.
Yeah. So
they
I mean,
both did. They he lived with them. We all lived together at one point.
yeah.
So
But that's what I mean, though. It's a very rare situation. A very delicate balance of.
You try going to 3rd grade and telling everybody that.
Yeah, I'd
all 3
prefer not to do that.
parents lived together.
Thanks, though.
Yeah.
I'd look pretty funny in 3rd grade.
No,
to be honest
I
with you.
went through pretty much a similar thing when my mom and dad split. I mean, heck, I was every bit of 8, 9 years old. So, and my mom started going out and living with someone else, and my dad was literally only lived 2.5 miles away. So it's like, I'm not going to call you dad because my dad's over there. If you think I'm going to come to you for advice, because I'm not. If I need advice or I need anything, I go to my dad. So it was seriously. It was one of those situations, one of those scenarios that I was old enough. I knew who my dad was. I have no other need to call another man dad or father, or even look at him as a father figure, because even though my mom and dad wasn't no longer together, I had access to my dad anytime I wanted. Call. He was always at our games. Our dad was never not a part of my life. So I had no reason to call another man dad. So,
well, and then the other question is what does it do to the other kid that's involved in it? You know what I mean? So you'll have to deal with this eventually at some point. If your girlfriend's child is calling you dad, even though you're not biologically their dad, and as Jazzy gets older and Jazzy puts 2 and 2 together, is that going to cause an awkward thing? Now, it has in the past for my oldest daughter, but that's because she's older and knows from the onset that Emmy wasn't my daughter, but you know what I mean.
Well,
so there was an adjustment to that for my oldest, for my daughter.
I can tell you. Y'all know I got a son. He's 5, just started kindergarten. I got a daughter. She's 6.5 months, 7 months, and we're right around there. I'm not worried about that.
Have you crossed that with Wyatt at all? Has Wyatt?
Actually, so here's what's funny. I have family members who have referred to Sarah as his mom. And it actually kind of offends me a little bit.
Does Wyatt say anything to that? Does he correct them, or does he?
Because
your son is amazingly opinionated. I mean, he doesn't.
Well, here's what's funny. When we went to his kindergarten class to go meet his teacher for the very first time before school actually started, his teacher thought that Sarah was his mom.
Right.
And I kind of looked at him and was like, just let her think that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Considering the facts that I know that he doesn't know, I just was like, hey, don't worry about it. That's a thing for another day.
Right.
Right.
But when I have family that actually refer to her as his mom, which he doesn't, he knows that she's Sarah and we're together and everything.
Because you think you know family should know better. You don't think the family should be the one putting that expectation out there.
It's not necessarily that the family should know better. I mean, they should, but the family that does it, they're not doing it to be mean or anything like that. But in that same sense, he knows who his mom is. He knows his mom's not Sarah.
Right.
He looks at her in the same way, but he still knows it's not mom.
Right.
So. Has he ever referred to her as mom, or has it always been Sarah?
It's always been Sarah.
Always been Sarah. Interesting. All right.
So
yeah,
and I'll never ask him to call her mom.
No, and I think maybe as we wrap this topic, I think that's maybe the key point to this whole thing is that, at least for me, and getting back to what Hello Kitty mentioned before, and again, I'm not telling her she's wrong. Like I said before, I'm not the guy to make relationship judgment calls.
Right.
I'm not the guy to tell you how to raise your kids. I'm just speaking my opinion, which is what this is a mouthpiece for. So if anybody takes it as me telling you that you're doing it wrong or whatever, I'm not telling you that. I'm not that guy. I would think that it's all a matter of just letting it happen when it happens and letting the kids decide for themselves.
Right.
And when the kid decides, in this case, if the kid has come to you on their own, can I call you dad? Well, do you want to? Is that what you want to do? If and then allowing them to do what they're comfortable doing. And when they're not, then there's no pressure. Maybe today you're dad, and tomorrow you're Jeremy, and the next day you're dad, and tomorrow the day after that you're Jeremy, and the next day you're asshole, and you know what I mean? It's you know what I mean, though? I mean, it's just, there's not a lot of pressure and there's none of that. And then you let the kids come and go. But I don't think it's ever anything anybody should ever bring up, right?
Right.
Like, I have seen situations where, and ladies, please don't be offended when I say this. Please don't.
I know where you're going with that.
But I've seen situations where a woman will put that in the kid's mind, right?
That's your daddy.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Where she puts that in the kid's mind. And it's normally in a situation where it's a single mom and the guy's absent and she feels guilty or whatever and wants the kid to have that in their life, and they don't have that. And so they try to interject that, okay? And again, I'm not faulting you for it, but I am. And I don't think that it's an adult's role to put that in the kid's mind. I think what the kid needs is to know what a stable relationship is going to be and who's going to be a constant in their life. And if you're with a guy who's going to be that guy, who's going to step in and love you and your kids and agree to fill that role, and if you're a guy that's willing to do that, more power to you, because it's the hardest thing for a single guy to do, to walk in with no kids, and to hook up with a woman who has kids, and agree to absorb the baggage and the drama and the bullshit and the war and the fight and everything that goes on with that.
Hold on. You got some flaw in your statements here.
What's the flaws?
Hit it and quit it, man. Don't be a single guy out looking for that mess.
Come on.
Strip his back.
Hey, strip his back. Strip his back. No, and but I'm just saying, if you're a guy and you meet a girl and you decide you're going to get into that, and you're willing to take on all the crap that goes with that, and let's use Trojo again as the example. And I'm not faulting or assigning blame, but if you just accept the fact that in the dynamic with your current girlfriend and her ex, there's been a lot of headbutting and a lot of issues with visitation and custody and child support and friction and arguments and friendships lost and battle lines drawn and all of that. Right, wrong, good, bad, indifference. I'm not passing judgments. But a lot of guys won't get into that.
Right.
A lot of guys, I won't get into that. I meet a girl, kids or not, and there's a lot of background drama. My response is, fuck it. Because I got enough drama in my own life to deal with my ex and our daughter that I'm not seeing right now, and the war fight that I'm going to have to go through for that. I don't want to add to mine and add yours. Am I selfish? Sure. I'll own that. I'm selfish. I don't want to couple my fight with her fight. Now, am I saying that when my fight's done and then she has a fight that I'm not going to be there for when it happens? Sure. I just don't think we can do them both at the same time. And right now, my fight's more important to me. Sue
there
me.
you go.
Sue me. I don't care. Sue me. So that's that. But again, you can't force it on a guy, and you can't force it on the kid. It all has to happen naturally. And here's the thing I'll say. Quit bringing the kids around the prospective boyfriend, girlfriend before it's time, because you're fucking up your kids. I see this far too often. I really do. And it's because I live in Bremerton, and it's because Bremerton is the white trash capital of the world, and it's where Navy whores go to die. You've had 1 or 2 dates, and now you want to introduce them to your kids. Stop it.
Yeah.
Literally, I have for the most part a pretty solid rule about like 3 months minimum of dating somebody, minimum 3 months before the kids get even thought about being introduced.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to wait.
That's just one of those. That's just awkward for the kid, awkward for the man, awkward for women out there, and they want to introduce. Hey, I want to introduce you to my kids right now. Can we at least make it through the first date before I meet your kids? Let's see if it's something we even going to remotely move forward. I love kids. I just don't know if I'm going to love yours yet, right?
Let's read the rest of the comments out here. We'll change subject here really quick. Let's see. K-Mix says, I agree with K-Dog. I love statements where you agree with me to begin with. All right. I agree with K-Dog. The mom-dad thing doesn't have anything to do with what the parents want. If a kid sees a person as a parent, protector, etc., and chooses to address them as such, it's only going to mess up their ability to choose what different people mean to them if you tell them no. It's not like the kid isn't going to learn the difference between stepdad, boyfriend, mommy's dad, mommy's baby daddy, etc., when that sort of information means anything to them. Hello Kitty says, that's another thing. My ex and I have a semi-strong relationship still. We get along well enough not to make others do our job for us, like handing the kids over, so the kids see that we are still on speaking term and adults about the situation. My eldest likes to call my boyfriend's son brother. I think it's sweet and shows that she cares for him like he's her brother. I waited 3 to 4 months before introducing my kids to my boyfriend, and even then, he was just a friend of them. I made sure they liked him. Again, and that's all perfect. Although... I don't give a shit if my kids like who I date. Is that wrong? I don't care if my kids like who I date. I want them to respect who I date, but I'm not asking them to date who I date. There's a difference between liking and respecting and having it be hell. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily need them to like them. I want to see how they interact together when they meet, right? So I don't want a woman who's going to be a total complete bitch to my kids. I don't want somebody who's going to be like Hitler, throwing down the gauntlet. But I don't necessarily need them to be buddies either, Desi.
A woman can act differently the first time she meets your kids than she will later on.
Oh, sure. No, I know.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. And go ahead.
That's what happened with my ex-stepmother. Was she was completely different when she first met me because it was just my dad and me. Mm-hmm. And then a couple years down the road, we started to realize how she was. So you have to be very, very careful with that because the woman's going to act completely different around the first time they meet your kids.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. And I think guys will be the exact same way too.
Yeah.
I think when you first meet somebody's kids, guy or girl, you're on your best behavior, and you're nervous, and you're afraid of making a wrong impression, and you want the kids to like you. So you're not going to do anything outward that's gonna jeopardize that. But see, I think everybody changes once you get married.
No.
You don't think so?
You don't think so?
Well, I think they can change to a certain extent, but in my experience with growing up with a stepmom,
Yeah.
things started to change before they were married.
Were they? Okay.
Yes, like drastically before they were married. And
Here's
see,
what-
ever since that relationship ended, though, my dad has always asked me what I think about his girlfriends because of that situation, though.
Here's what Hello Kitty says. It's very important that they like them. I went through many of my mom's boyfriends that I hated and have issues with men and stability because of it. It's very important that my kids like my boyfriend. Hello Kitty, I think we're arguing two different things. I think that there's middle ground. I think that there's a difference between the two. I don't necessarily think that they have to like them or be buddy with them. I don't want them to hate them though, and I think that's where the difference is. So I wouldn't want to bring a woman home and have Maddie, my 11-year-old, meet her.
And I'm sorry.
ahead.
I just tell you. I mean, in the situation where I grew up, knowing who my dad was, and then my mom bringing another guy around, it's like, I didn't like him. Did not like him, not one single bit. But I did give him the respect factor because he was dating my mom and he was taking care of my mom. Like I said, I didn't go to him for anything. I didn't really sit and chit chat with him. Matter of fact, the only time we ever really sat in a room together for the 10 plus years that we was pretty much in the house together was because obviously my mom moved us in with him. But the only time we really sat in a room together was, sit down and watch a football game or something. I mean, that was it. Game over, I'm out.
Right.
That was it. But I mean, we didn't have a relationship like that. No. But again, I did show him the respect. I did give him respect to a point that he was dating my mother. I had to respect him for that. He wasn't bad to my mom. Didn't abuse her, but. I mean, fact of the matter is, I just didn't like him because, he's dating my mom. You know what I mean?
And that's what I mean. So I think there's a difference between liking them and hating them.
Right.
I think there's a difference between liking them, not being buddies with them, and hating them. And I wouldn't want to get in a relationship with somebody that my kids hated. But I don't think they necessarily need to be buddies, especially if you got teenagers, right?
Yeah.
If you got a teenager,
like I was 8 when they got together.
there's going to be an issue with teenagers. Sorry. And if you've got a toddler, they love everybody, right? So that I don't think that well, unless you're Des, then you only have eyes for me. But I don't think that liking or not liking is indicating of anything. But if they hate them, if there's that friction, then there's a problem. Extreme says, I think it's best to set it in that clearly gives each person in the child's life a defined meaning. For say if it's a guy, figures Papa, Daddy, Grandpa, Nona for a guy,
probably.
Nona for a guy. If you call me Nona, I'm going to show you my penis.
That's really big.
So that you know that I'm a guy.
Probably
They
supposed
call
to be
grandfathers in
Nana.
Australia.
They
Nana.
call grandfathers Nona in Australia?
Yes, it's
Oh,
like
It
really?
sounds like
no
a
nah and then no.
no.
Oh, wait.
No,
No, no,
nah,
no, no.
no,
No.
It was a female, mommy, grandma, nana, and so on. That way the child doesn't get lost between adult figures in their lives. Again, I see where you're coming from, and I'm not saying you're wrong, because look at me. But I don't know if you can set the title for the child outside of that. Meaning, if it's okay, like how Strip and Sarah are handling it. Sarah is Sarah to Wyatt. Wyatt's 5. Sarah is Sarah. And at some point, if Wyatt chooses to change that to mom or mommy Sarah or whatever he chooses to do that, he's changing that paradigm himself. He's allowing that to be how he establishes that himself. And I don't know if it's fair to say, well, we're gonna define the relationship that Sarah has to Wyatt based on what role she plays in his life. Because for all intents and purposes, Sarah is Wyatt's mom right now.
Yes.
In actions, in day-to-day life, in support, in everything, Sarah is playing the role of Wyatt's mom.
Yeah, she even takes him to school for me.
Yeah, she takes him to school. She feeds him. She helps bathe him. When Strip is unavailable because of other stuff going on in his life right now, it's fallen to Sarah. Mm-hmm. She is in that mother role, but nobody's telling Wyatt, you will call her mom. Exactly. That'll be a decision that Wyatt gets to when he's old enough and wants to make that determination. And eventually I sense it's going to happen because his real mom's a piece of monkey crap.
Yeah, I guess that's why I was at that.
I hope you're listening,
anyway.
Amber.
On that note,
crap.
I think it's... Oh,
I would rail the hell out of you,
Holy
but I'd
cow.
wear a condom because you're monkey crap.
Look at our time. Oh,
I know.
geez.
I know. And again, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. I mean, you guys, listen, everybody raises their kids the way that they want to do it. You guys, for the most part, you're completely cool. And I think most people really love their kids and do the best thing for their kids, and they really look out for it. I'm not to the point of saying let's establish the relationship. I think that it doesn't matter what you give. Let's say, and he's not. Okay, I love Troja. But let's say he's an abusive, alcoholic prick, and you say, well, we're going to define his role as dad. We're going to define his role as dad. Well, guess what? You just fucked up the word dad for that kid for the rest of their life. Because now dad is not a loving, endearing, fatherly figure in their life who nurtures and helps with homework and supports them through the rest of their life. A dad is a guy that's abusive and an alcoholic drunk that's a prick. I mean, you've now screwed the word dad for that child for the rest of their life. I don't think titles mean jack. I think the relationship matters, and the kid will put a title on it when they're ready to. But again, that's me. All right. The other topic I was going to bring up in 2 minutes or less. 2 minutes. You ready? We're going to rapid fire this. Trip, get the mic. This is something for you, not really for Dez. I don't think Dez has any experience with this. You ready?
Shoot.
Several weeks ago on the show, and repeatedly on the show over the last 5 years, I have said that if a man wants to have anal sex with a woman, he's gay. He's gay. Okay? If you're a guy, you want to put it in a girl's butt, you're gay. Stop it. Stop it. It's wrong. Stop it. You're gay. However, what if you're a guy and you're with a girl and she wants you to do it? Now I have a quandary. Because I know a girl who wants it in the backside.
And you don't want to give it to her because you're afraid you might.
I'm not saying it's for me. I'm not saying she wants me, but I had a conversation with her, and she wants a guy who will do that. So this is a whole different quandary, because
No, it's
obviously it's a man's responsibility to please his woman and give her what she wants.
So you know a woman that wants you to put it.
No,
in
I didn't
her
say me.
no-no-
I don't want to talk about me.
In her no starfish.
No. Is it her no or her not? Or
And
her
you're-
no
Is it
nah?
no, no,
You're
nah, nah.
Is it the no or the no nah?
And you're afraid everybody's going to think you're gay if you do it.
No, I'm not
It's
saying
cool.
me.
You
I'm
don't
not-
have to
I'm
lie
talking-
to kick it. It's fine.
What I'm saying is, does it completely invalidate my earlier argument?
Your argument?
Yes.
Your argument's been invalid for ever.
Yeah, that argument's somewhat been invalid for a while. I mean, even our guy St. Paul, the voice
See, I
of
wish
treason,
Paul
who's
was
not
here.
here tonight, has even admitted, him and Harmony both has admitted right here that they at least tried it,
Yeah.
and they are a happily married couple.
That's right.
Didn't make them gay. They have never split. They have never went anywhere.
I gotta say, I won't be with a woman that won't do it. So
Really? That's a defining thing in a relationship for you?
No, I said I won't be with a woman that won't do it.
That's what I
not
said.
a defining thing in the relationship. I guess it kind of.
Yeah, it's a defining
Yeah,
thing.
it sounds like a definer
so
there.
I also won't be. With
If
a
the
woman, that
woman
won't-
chooses,
Clearly, that means that Sarah takes in the poop shoot.
I also won't be with a woman that won't suck me off either. So hey,
okay, you got a valid point on that one. Look, if if a woman's not willing to suck you, she's probably not worth being with.
That's going to be our 4th hour topic
Just saying.
next week. Just so you guys know, as we're getting ready to wrap the show.
But on that same note, if a man's not willing to go down, women, and face come back looking, and his face don't come up looking like he's been eating on a Krispy Kreme, he's probably not doing it right,
No.
even when he do.
Can
Oh,
I tell you something? Here's the flaw in your thinking. You ready? You're acting like that men and women are equal in a relationship, and it really matters if a woman gets off, because
Wow.
it doesn't. It doesn't.
I actually agree with Kato.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Listen, men derive pleasure in a relationship from sex. Hold on. Men derive pleasure in a relationship from sex. Men derive pleasure from gratification. Women derive pleasure from cooking and cleaning and pleasing their man. So as long as everybody knows their role,
So, Des, when are y'all
everybody's
dating?
happy.
When are you going out with this man again? I mean, that was supposed to be tonight, though, right? I mean,
She's shaking her head no.
Jez and I are going to go.
Yeah, interesting because see, I can understand K Dog saying that.
Hello
Because
Kitty says still gay, by the way. And she's so loose she needs it in the ass to feel anything. Arcasmic said there's a lot of women who love anal. Also, it doesn't have anything to do with homosexuality. Anal sex on a primal level is simply about dominance.
What is she? What is
Chip,
she
do you
trying
agree?
to say? Still gay for? I don't get it. Anyway,
K-Dog is from the height of the Victorian era. Don't blame him, is what Arcasmic says.
There's only-
okay, so basically, Arcasmic, Hello Kitty is saying that
That I'm right.
That St. Paul and Harmony, because they tried it, were gay.
The Paul was gay.
can I
That
just
Paul
tell
was
you?
gay, but
Yeah.
it was something that they
But we
wanted
knew
to
that.
try.
He's a conservative.
She's tried it too.
Has she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Is this some inside information we need to know about here? I mean,
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Little bit of
Leave it
insight.
alone. Hold on. La 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 la. Can't hear you. La 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 la. La la la.
I'm waiting for the comment to show up.
See, I got my ears plugged. I can't hear a word you're saying, Strip.
a little bit of inside information
Can't hear a
here.
damn
Hey,
thing. I do not hear anything.
How would you know
Anything he's about to
she's
say right
tried
now,
it?
I am innocent. I know nothing. All right. So St. Paul never did call, did he?
What?
Somebody,
St. Paul never
somebody
did call,
owes
did he?
somebody $10.
No, he didn't call.
Okay, will you do me a favor? And then be ready to hang up. Call his cell phone right now. And then be ready to hang up.
I'm not going down
Just call him really quick. All I'm going to say to him is, thank you so much for calling the show, you incredible walking douchebag. And then we're going to hang up on him. And while you do, we have other comments in the show. Paul is gay, but Harmony doesn't want it, so she's not loose. I'm not really sure what that means. All right. I don't know what the Harmony comment has anything to do with it about.
No, because I made a mention about the fact that they're a married couple and they tried it, but I mean, it was one of those things.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if he answers the phone. And there's 2 rings.
I'll find it more.
If it hits voicemail, go ahead and hang up because I know what his voicemail says. There's 3 rings.
Hello, you've reached St. Paul.
You remember that he said he was going to bring barbecue down to us tonight? And then
Oh, he
totally
really
no
did.
show.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
What a
Your
jerk.
call has been for.
All right. What a jerk, man. I swear to God.
Oh yeah. That deserves a nut
trying to
shot
hear.
tomorrow. That deserves a nut shot next week. Don't promise to bring a black man chicken and you don't bring it.
That's right.
That's a
Don't-
nut shot.
Don't promise a black man barbecue.
I'm just saying, that's a nut shot.
All right, Strip, anything you want to say before we wrap the show?
Nah.
Nothing? All right, Desi, anything you want to say before we wrap the show?
Everybody should come in on Sunday and get prepared to listen to our interview with Josh Holiday.
Yeah, Josh Holiday next
so
week.
hard to get.
8 o'clock next week.
Yes.
Bow.
Final 24 from American Idol last season. We're going to have him on 2 days before the album drops at 8 o'clock.
Nice.
So
He didn't give up.
And especially if you're somebody or if you know somebody who wants to be on a show like that, it'll be good to listen and call in and ask questions. No, you won't be able to call in because we can only do 1 call at a time. But you can submit
I
us
have an email
questions.
set up too for people if they
Oh, nice.
know anybody. Yeah.
All right. What's the email?
DESIRYSPAHN@gmail.com.
We need to get her an outlaw email, by the way. All right. St. Paul, do you have anything you want to say? I'm lame. Thanks, Paul. Tro?
I just want to thank you for the subject tonight and the comments, and pretty much going to play it by ear on what I'm gonna have to do with the situation of the scenario of him of my girlfriend's son calling me dad. I don't think I'm one of those guys who's just gonna get up in his face. Well, I know I'm not one of those guys that's gonna say no, I'm not your dad. You know what? Here's the reality. If this kid is comfortable with calling me dad and comfortable having me as a at his age, 3
Yeah.
years old, about to be 4, still very impressionable, and he still wants to call me dad even though he knows who his real dad is, I feel I might be doing something right. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna, if I think I'm gonna allow that to happen. I just wanted him to know who his real dad is, so there was no confusion with that. Well, he knows.
I
And
wish
he's
you
still
guys, I
comfortable.
wish that both sides of that dysfunctional divorce tree could just
yeah.
get along and
You know-
you guys could all like have a barbecue together and hold hands around the campfire and sing Kumbaya.
Yeah.
One last comment for you from our Facebook page. Lee says that it's wrong if forced, not wrong if the kid organically goes there. If you are the dad, you are involved. Your actions with the child or children should be paramount so that the option never gets called into question. If that happens, you need to look at your real involvement.
Yep.
So thanks to Lee for listening to the show.
Thank you, Lee.
Anything else you want to give? Plug for business quick?
Quick plug for business. Come down and see me at Advantage Auto Works. Also a part of the Advantage Nissan, where the fun starts here. Great deals going on right now. We got an end of the summer sale coming up. Even though the summer's pretty much over, we got it coming up here at the end of this month. So I'd like for people to come out if you're in the market. Come see me.
Outstanding. All right, we want to thank Sarah for letting us have the show in the house because, I mean, it's Caleb's house, but we know that Sarah has Caleb's balls in a vice grip, and so whatever Sarah says goes. So we know how things work around here. So thanks to that, Izzy gives me the finger because I'm number one. Yay! We also want to thank Desi for running the social media. She does a great job with that, and thanks to Desi for the fun we're going to have after the show's over. It'll be the best 38 seconds of her life.
Hey, she did wear a skirt. You know what they mean by skirts? Easy access.
I wore a skirt because my brother had his birthday party today.
That's right. She wore a skirt for easy access.
Is that it?
What?
It's all nice.
Hey, Desi, what day is it? What day is it? Hump Day! Guess what day it is? Hump Day! It's not Wednesday. Wrong hump day, Desi. Wrong hump day. All right. We want to thank you for checking out the show. We'll return next week, 8 o'clock. We got the special guest from American Idol. Last season. Made it to the final 24. What's his name again? Josh Holiday, right? Josh Holiday joins us at 8 o'clock. St. Paul might be back in studio.
I feel like we should be up twerking right now to this music.
Oh, my God. That's a great idea. Can I twerk on Shoujo?
No! I said we should be twerking.
Desi
I didn't
wants
say
to
you was
see
going to
that.
twerk on me.
Please do.
If I twerk on Shoujo, does it make it more likely you'll put out tonight?
No.
Then no.
But it would be funny.
All right. And again, thanks to Strip for running the boards tonight. Great job as always. Remember, this broadcast is the sole property of Outlaw Radio Network and Edge Media Source. Any rebroadcast or duplication without the express written consent of Harper is expressly forbidden. Good night, bitches.